Brett Martel, AP sports writer and Brett, the 2010 NBA draft, as we speak, is into the second round of the New Orleans Hornets tonight. Drafting Cole-Aldrich, thinking that he was going to be our center of the future. Well, not so fast. They had made a trade, at least it's not really announced officially until July the 8th, which is the day the agency will open up, and also trades can be consummated. They made the trade with Oklahoma City for the 21st and 26th picks, which turned out to be Craig Brackens, the big forward out of Iowa State, and quincy-pondexter, the small forward out of Washington. Talk about the trade in detail from your perspective, and where do you think this places the Hornets and the grand scope of things?
Well, it's an interesting trade. It certainly places the Hornets in a position where fans can debate all day long whether this is the right thing to do, because they had a lot of interesting choices at number 11. You could have argued that a player like cole-aldrich would push him into Okafor, who had one of his least productive seasons last year. Aldrich is 6'11", would be a good defensive presence on a team that was 20th in points allowed last year at 102.7. However, players who are pretty good on defense. 6'10" forward in Brackens, who is a very good outside shooter. I saw the end of his workout last Friday, and it was a 3-on-3 deal, and Aldrich was involved in that same workout, as was Tasman Mitchell and some other players. And every time Brackens got the ball and stepped out and created some space, he took a jumper and hit it. He made a bunch of them in a row, so he looks like a real good shooter. Now, they did not work out Pondexter, but Pondexter has basketball pedigree. His father and uncle played for Long Beach State. His dad was drafted by the Celtics, ended up playing overseas for 10 years. His uncle played for the Bulls for 3 years. He played 4 years at Washington and was not only averaging 19.3 points a game last year, helping lead the team to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament, but he was known as a defender with quick feet, a potential lockdown one-on-one defender, but also a good rotating help defender who never gives up on a play. So, they got guys who can contribute defensively and contribute in the swing position, maybe the power forward position as well. So that gives them more players, more rookies, and the big thing is with getting rid of the contract that Morris Peterson had. He had slowly fallen on the depth chart. Marcus Thornton was the clear #1 shooting guard at the end of last year, and Peterson was owed $6.6 million for next season. So they send him off to Oklahoma City, pending it becoming official on July 8th, and that means that the Hornets now do have some flexibility in free agency, and they'll probably be looking for a big, because one thing they're not getting out of this is, a center and someone that can push Emeka Okafor for playing time and at least, back him up, competently.
It seems that with now Monty Williams being named the new head coach, that this team, again, you mentioned they didn't draft a physical guy, guys that maybe at the end of the first round, maybe a guy like a Solomon Alabi or Hassan Whiteside out of Marshall, big guys that can bang in the paint. Seemed like they got guys that could score the basketball outside, and you wonder what's going to happen, as you mentioned, in free agency on the 8th. Will they go for a big, or maybe they trade back into the second round under the long shot premise? Last year we thought that this wasn't going to happen. They traded back in and got Marcus Thornton. What do you think is going to happen now as we head to free agency? What do you think happens now with the Hornets? They've got a little flexibility to play with, and what do you think happens?
Well, I do think that they definitely need some more muscle inside. Now, there's always the possibility that Aaron Gray will be back next year, and Aaron is still young, but he is 7 feet and he's big, and he had his moments, especially against Orlando, when he kind of shut down Dwight Howard in the second half. So he does have some potential, but it's hard to know how much upside he really has. So they do seem to need some more physicality in the paint. A lot of people thought for that reason they might go with Kentucky's Patrick Patterson, who was available at number 11, but apparently they went with Aldrich, probably because that's who Oklahoma City wanted, and all these deals have been talked about in the last couple weeks. So they had a good idea even before this started. If this player is available, we can work this deal.
Comment on all these rumor deals. For the last few days we had been hearing Chris Paul's name finessed in a couple of deals. Really, to be frank, none of them really made any kind of physical sense for this Hornets team. But you're going to trade your best point guard. I don't think it's going to happen, but talking about that perspective, it'd be foolish to trade Chris Paul at the end of the day, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think there are some practical reasons to trade him, but the NBA is a business, and I think it might be a bad business decision because he's he's a true star. He might be one of the most popular athletes in New Orleans and all of New Orleans, including the Saints. He's right up there, very close to the Drew Brees level, and maybe even more popular than Reggie Bush. I mean, he's a charismatic young player, maybe the best in the world at his position, a gold medalist, a national team guy. He brings real, legitimate star power to the Hornets, and let's face it, New Orleans fans like star power. You know, a hard-working team of nobodies who's competitive, you know, like maybe the Utah Jazz have been sometimes. That's not really the Hornets fan style. Because when the other teams come into town with the LeBron Jameses and the Shaquille O'Neals, and those are the sellouts at the New Orleans arena. The Hornets need Chris Paul. He's big in the community. He's really popular. He's one of the best there is. And the other thing is, they came out with a statement yesterday, basically not 100% eliminating the possibility of a trade, but saying that he is the cornerstone of their franchise and they'd like him to be in the Hornets uniform for the rest of his career. Well, when the ownership says something like that, then to turn around and trade a guy 2 days later completely undermines the ownership's credibility with the fans. So, I mean, how can they really do that? I would think that is a very remote possibility.
Brett, thank you so much for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right,
Thank you, sir. That was Brett Martel with the AP. This is George Pepis live from the Alario Center for the 2010 NBA Draft and the New Orleans Hornets.